Hello everybody. If you clicked on this video and you're not dyslexic, then you already know what it's about. It's a FNAF movie bingo. Yeah, the FNAF movie is gonna be out in a week. I have been waiting for this day for so many years, and it's kind of surreal to think about that I'm gonna be seeing the movie in a couple of days. There's been so much build up to this day over the past, again, years that, I don't know what to do. I'm so stressed. This is literally the most important movie I'm going to be watching in my life. Yeah, it makes me feel very uneasy. Kinda like the same funny feeling that I get in my stomach when I drink expired milk. But yeah, I'm gonna stop bogging you with this hour-long exposition and just get into the bingo directly now. I'm gonna cover each point on my bingo card individually and try to basically summarize my thoughts about it as shortly as possible. So the things on this bingo card are either things that I think are going to happen, things that might happen, or things that I would like to see happen, or things that I would dread happening. But now I'm really gonna get into the bingo. So yeah, let's start by revealing the points. First, we've got disregard for lore, or well, whatever semi-coherent semblance of lore there is in the FNAF franchise. Now, it was gonna be clear from the beginning that the lore in the FNAF movie was gonna be a little wacky, right? There's so many games to consider. There's so many books to consider. How many books are there? I don't know, but way too many. No one needs that many FNAF books. Anyway, there's so much lore to take into consideration when making a movie that it's almost impossible to fit all of that into one movie. So instead of putting the basic lore in the movie, they just didn't do that at all. You know, most of the characters are characters who we've just never seen before. Who the fuck is Abby, dude? Who's Garrett? What do you mean Garrett? Who the fuck is Steve? No one needs a Steve in this movie, what the hell? So yeah, aside from all the characters in the movie being new, entirely new characters, even the characters who existed previously in FNAF, like Mike Schmidt from FNAF 1 or Vanessa from Security Breach, have just completely different backstories and personalities now. It's crazy. You know, instead of Mike Schmidt being Michael Afton, which I'm pretty sure he canonically is, you know, he doesn't have a sister named Elizabeth in this one. He doesn't have a younger brother named Chris or Evan or whatever the fuck his name is now. And his brother doesn't die by, being bitten in the bite of 83. He actually just goes missing randomly. And his sister doesn't, die at all. She doesn't get scooped up like she did in Sister Location. She just lives, I guess. She's just some kid named Abby. But aside from the human characters, the lore around the animatronics is also just completely different now. For example, there was this one line in the trailer where I think it was Vanessa was talking to Mike, and she was they're trying to turn her into one of them. Right, I'm using very heavy air quotes now. You can't see because this is just a recording, but just imagine me quoting the out of the air right now. And so what she's basically trying to say with this, obviously, is that the animatronics are trying to turn Abby into an animatronic as well, which is just completely what? It doesn't make sense with any of the lore, right? They don't just kill people willy-nilly, they don't just kill for the funsies. They kill because they want to avenge their death. They're not looking to just kill anyone. They're specifically looking to kill Purple Guy, right? They're a murderer. And the reason they attack Mike in FNAF 1 is because he's wearing the same purple uniform, right? So they think that he's the one who killed them. Right, so they only attack Mike Schmidt from FNAF 1. Doesn't make sense for them to want to turn this random-ass kid into an animatronic as well, because that's never what they wanted to do. They hate being an animatronic. Why would they, make this random kid into an animatronic? That makes no sense. There's this other scene. There were, a bunch of people at the beginning. They're, raiding the pizzeria. Why the fuck did the animatronics kill them? Why do they care if these random-ass people, destroy the machines? It's none of your business. Why do you care? How does this affect them in any way? Why would they want to kill? Anyways. And there's another thing which has changed about animatronics, which is just completely weird. It's that suddenly they can, go outside now. There's this scene where this promotional screenshot, I think, where Abby is holding Freddy's hand and they're outside the pizzeria looking at it. There's this other scene where they're sitting in a taxi car driven by Corey X Kenshin. Holy and it's why? Why can the animatronics just go outside? That was the point. The animatronics were just not able to leave the pizzeria for whatever reason, right? They were not able to leave. You think they wouldn't have left before if they were able to leave? That was like the whole point of like sister locations, that the animatronics cannot leave, which is why they need to take the form of a human, you know, which is why they like scooped up Michael, why they took over his body and then, you know, blended into society again. They finally got to go outside. They can't just randomly go outside. Since when? Since when? Like, shut up, dude. But yeah, this video is not supposed to just be me like citing all the lore violations in this movie. I know there have to be changes made, so I'm gonna move on from that now to my next point. Cringy romance. Now this one, oh boy, ooh, this one. Just like as soon as I saw like some of the like clips that leaked of this movie and the trailer and like the promotional material, I just immediately got this like gut feeling that they were gonna try to like push some romance between Mike and Vanessa, and it's just like why? Like why that's so random. Like why Vanessa and Mike? Why? Like they never interacted before this movie. Like literally why? It's just so like random and weird. And another thing is, right, if you know anything about FNAF, then you would know FNAF is not a shipping franchise, dude. FNAF is like a terrible franchise for shipping. Do you remember the shipping wars back in like, you know, back in the olden days, in the FNAF medieval times, right? Where it was like these fucking like people were like wielding pitchforks, like threatening to burn your house down if you fucking didn't agree with their like shipping stuff, right? People were like starting mini world wars over whether you shipped like Foxy and Chica or Foxy and Bonnie. Like, oh god. The majority of FNAF characters are like dead robot children. Like, I can't think of a single FNAF ship that's not just like weird or abusive or just straight up illegal, dude. And like FNAF was never about the relationships between the humans, right? Like FNAF was always, the humans were always alone, right? Like the security guards were always alone. They never had any friends, you know, we never got to see them. We never got to see them off shift interacting with people, because that was not what the game was about. It's not about the human characters. They might as well be stand-ins, right? Because they are stand-ins for us, for the player, right? It's about the animatronics. It's not about the like interhuman relationships in this franchise. So it just feels like weird to make a romance, especially between like Vanessa and Michael. It's just so like why? Anyways, I'm not gonna ramble on much longer. I'm gonna get to Vanessa later as well, because I have a lot to say about her. Then I have Mike's brother is dead, in brackets animatronic. Yeah, this one's pretty obvious to me as well. Like Mike's brother, who again is supposed to be a parallel to Chris, Evan, Crying Child, whatever you want to call him. And yeah, he died by an animatronic attack, right? He died in the bite of 83. And so it makes sense that the brother who, you know, mysteriously went missing was either killed by an animatronic and is now just like a, you know, he's just dead now, or he is maybe possessing one of the OG animatronics, which would again not be lore accurate, but this movie has already proven that it's not exactly interested in that, so it wouldn't be like that unbelievable, I guess. Next up, we have the fucked up timeline. This one kind of ties in with the disregard for lore, and it's also why I think like the Vanessa and Michael relationship, like it's part of why it's so weird, is that like it's supposed to take place in 2023, right? Like the canonical year in which FNAF 3 takes place. They didn't just make a movie about like the happenings of FNAF 3, you know, they didn't just like choose a FNAF game and then, you know, try to adapt that FNAF game as faithfully as they could into a movie and like, you know, like add some stuff and change some stuff to make it more comprehensible. No, they decided to take this long line, that was the timeline, and just squeeze it all into like one messy like yarn ball thing, right? So like now things that happen in the future and things that happen in the past are just overlining. For example, Michael, right? Like again, it's the year 2023, and in the movie he's supposed to be in like his mid-20s to like 30s maybe, even though he should be like at least 50 by now, like according to the lore. Same with Vanessa, dude. Like Security Breach, I think it takes place in like 2040, and Vanessa is like also in her mid-20s, so she would be like a child now, like between the ages of like 0 to 5, and it's just like so weird. Why did they choose to just completely mess up the like semblance of a relatively comprehensible timeline that was there earlier, and then just take it all and we're just like, oh yeah, none of this happened. It's all just like, you know, we're just gonna take characters from all across this like time span and just put them all into the same time period, you know what I mean? So yeah, the timeline is, that kind of ties in with like the disregard for lore thing, like I said. Puppet / Golden Freddy reference. Now this this thing confused me while I was watching the trailer, basically. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up a question now that probably a lot of people were thinking during the trailer, maybe subconsciously, maybe consciously. Where are the puppet and Golden Freddy? You know, they didn't appear in this trailer at all, neither as like an actual walking and talking about animatronic, nor as like a little reference in like one of the like kids' pictures on the wall or something. No, they were just completely missing. Now, you don't really have to dig deep into the FNAF lore to find out that Puppet and Golden Freddy are two of the most important characters to the franchise lore-wise, and they are also like two of the most fan-favorite characters and two of the most iconic characters, so it feels weird to leave them out of a FNAF movie. So like, what's up with that? Now, it could be that the creators just didn't want to like spoil any part involving these two animatronics, so they just cut them out of the trailer entirely, or it could be that they just don't have any role at all in this movie, which at first seems again strange because these are some of the most like lore important characters in the whole franchise. But then when you think about it again, the changes up to now that have been made in the lore, which I'm gonna probably list on the screen now, cause these characters to not even be like half as important as they were in the original. So for this story, you'd probably be able to cut them out no problem. Do I still think that would suck if it were to happen? Yes it would, because I very much love those characters. But even if they wouldn't be any characters with like a major role in this movie, I do definitely think that there would at the very least be like a reference to them somehow, like someone talks about it, or there's again like some kind of drawing, you know, something like that. Okay, editing me here. It's currently 5 a.m. and I'm still editing and I feel like absolute shit, but anyway, I somehow managed to lose the footage for this next point that I was gonna make, and it was basically gonna be that the movie's gonna be fun for the whole family, or well, yeah, that it's gonna be PG-13, and yeah, I think I just talked about how like FNAF has had an issue in the past of like pandering to kids, and yeah, that has kind of lowered the quality of FNAF as a whole, as you can see with like security breach and stuff. And yeah, but I think I also said that like not all good horror movies have to be like R-rated or anything. There's a lot of good PG rated horror movies, so yeah. Next up, I have iconic lines / themes missing, for example, the color purple, it's me, etc. Now, ask yourself a question. What are like some of the most iconic lines in FNAF? You'd probably give me an answer like,
I always come back.
Or it's me, or the one he shouldn't have killed, or any of the other major character lines, or like important themes in FNAF. You know, obviously you have the color purple, which, you know, stands for Purple Guy, the main villain of the series, and a bunch of other things, going against the color yellow, which stands for, among other things, Golden Freddy, the innocence of the children, all of that. But I don't really believe that the movie is going to like include these themes. I don't know, like something about the way it looks, a bit too like cozy and warm, and you know, not that concerned with pre-established lore. Okay, I should probably move on from this point. Steve Racklин's secret identity. This is probably also not gonna be that unpopular of an opinion. Like I said, there are almost no characters in the entire movie who have any like aligning identities with characters from the previous games, but I don't think that they would completely get rid of their main bad throughout the entire series. William Afton, also again one of the most, probably the most important character in the entire franchise. You know, he's like the main villain. And Steve is like obviously kind of implied to be evil from the beginning. There's just something like weird about him, just some like, I don't know, the way he acts or whatever, I don't know. And I mean like obviously this guy's actually named Steve Racklin. Like what? Like you're gonna have your major big bad of this movie, you're gonna have your major sketch lord, and his name is Steve? Like Steve really gonna have your major sketchlord of the series. His name's gonna be Steve. So yeah, I am proposing that Steve is actually William Afton in some kind of way. That would be my favorable outcome, considering I think Matthew Lillard has also posted like a lot of pictures with him surrounding Springtrap, and obviously Springtrap and William Afton are the same person in the FNAF franchise. I don't know if they are in this movie, but I'm gonna get into that later. Next up, I have, you can tell it's a Blumhouse movie. Now, I wasn't really thinking when I wrote this one down. I think that's like a pattern that you begin to notice as you move further down the list. But what I basically meant with this one, I think, is that, like, you know, Blumhouse movies have like a certain like taste to them. Like in the marketing of the FNAF movie, they used a lot of like made by the producers of Megan kind of stuff, and it's like, Megan really wasn't that good of a movie. Like Megan sucked ass as a movie. Why would you want to associate the Five Nights at Freddy's movie with a movie? Well, I mean, it's not objectively bad, right? Like, taste is subjective, but like the movie does kind of objectively have like a very different vibe from FNAF, so it feels weird to like compare them, I guess. With Blumhouse in general, it's very hit or miss. I'm not saying that the movie is gonna be objectively bad because it was made by Blumhouse, but I am gonna say that it's definitely gonna have a very different vibe than if a different studio like Warner Brothers would have ended up doing the movie instead. Then I have Mike and Steve are related. This one I think is also pretty clear, at least to me. You know, like Mike Schmidt is supposed to be Michael Afton, at least in the FNAF lore. There are a lot of like parallels from his movie self to his game self. So yeah, he's like basically Michael Afton, and like I said already, I do have a little bit of a feeling going on that Steve might be William Afton, and William Afton is related to Michael Afton, you know, and so I think that they might be related. Yeah, I don't really have any more explanation for that. On the contrary to this whole thing, I have no Afton family. Oh my god, what did my voice just do? No Afton family. I mean, it could just be that the Afton family was entirely removed from this movie. All the characters were renamed, and it might be that there's no new meaning to their names beyond they're just like random names we picked because they like sounded cool or something. So yeah, maybe there is no reference to the Afton family or to the name Afton, to any of the previous names of the characters, familiar relationships going on between them, whatever. Animatronic redemption arc. Now, this one was also pretty clear to me. You know, as you can see in the trailer of the movie, you know, the animatronics are at first, obviously, you know, a little mean to the people, to the humans of this movie, but then later on they like end up holding hands with the kids, so it's like fine, I guess. You know, they all like have this big like group hug on the parking lot and shit. Yeah, animatronic redemption arc. They're gonna start off as, you know, a little rude, and then they're gonna become the heroes, I think. Like, yeah, obviously not played as straight as I just said it, but they are gonna have like something similar to like a redemption arc, or like explaining themselves, like big oh moment, like oh that's why they're doing it. Yeah. Then we have flashback. Now, what I consider to be a flashback is just basically any scene that does not take place in the year 2023 where this movie takes place. Does this movie take place in 2023? Wait, I hope it does. Okay, I'm not gonna check now, but I hope it does. If it doesn't, then all of my assumptions are wrong. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, any scene that takes place in the past, so like if they were to show a scene of the kids getting like lured in the back room and getting murdered, I would consider that a flashback. If they show a scene where Springtrap gets spring locked, which I hope that they would make that kind of a scene and put it in the movie, I would consider that a flashback as well. So yeah, just basically any look into the past of the characters. Abby equals Gregory. Now, I don't mean to say that they are actually the same person, but I mean to say that they kind of like fill the same role as characters. I feel like they are both gonna have like the same personality, you know. Like I said, they kind of both fill the same role of this like child who, you know, gets lost wandering the pizzeria or the mall or whatever, and ends up befriending one of the animatronics, and then that animatronic happens to be Freddy, and they end up you know, hiding from the other animatronics or something, whatever. I just think that they are very similar in terms of like plot relevance or something. Then I have they beat Springtrap with the power of friendship. Do I think this is gonna happen necessarily? No. Could it happen? let's be realistic right now. Probably not. Would it be funny if this happened? Probably not, but I'm still putting it down here. It's still a possibility, so it's still going on the board. Vanessa becomes evil, or was all along, maybe? Vanessa is clearly supposed to be the Vanessa from Security Breach, like I already said, and in that game, Vanessa was a villain, or, well, at least she attempted to be a villain. She really wasn't. She was only there for like 5 minutes and then dipped and then never showed up again. But yeah, she was supposed to be evil. She was supposed to be allied with Springtrap's cult thingy. I kind of stopped paying attention to the lore after Help Wanted came out, so excuse any of my lore violations that I've committed in this video myself. But yeah, I just think that they would probably include that aspect of Vanessa in the movie version, that she either becomes evil by the end of the movie, maybe ends up killing someone, or killing an animatronic, doing anything. She might try and go after Abby or something, who knows. Or that it turns out that she was evil all along. You know, in the trailer, she had this kind of like weird vibe where, I don't know, she was just a little too happy about being at this murder place, which she, I think, knows is a murder place. Maybe she knows about the kids getting murdered, she just doesn't tell him. Then I have eerily similar to Banana Splits / Willy's Wonderland. I'm guessing you probably know these movies, but if you don't, they are basically also like 2 mascot horror movies. I'm not really gonna get into these movies now. It doesn't really matter for this, bingo. Basically, while I was watching the trailer, a lot of stuff just reminded me of these movies, especially of Banana Splits. You know, like there's a little kid who ends up like befriending one of the animatronics, and then they together fight against like the rest of them. There's like a car scene, I think both with like a yellow car outside at night. There's like a closet killing scene or something, I don't know. Like these movies just like visually reminded me a lot of each other. And yes, I know you can only make so many mascot horror movies about animatronics going feral until you will just be left with the same plot each time. And you could say that these movies were originally also kind of FNAF ripoffs, or at least like heavily inspired by FNAF. But yeah, I think it's just interesting. FNAF World mentioned. Now this one's also pretty straightforward. I just want there to be some kind of FNAF World reference, please. That's it. The living tombstone music. Yeah, I don't know. I think this one's also pretty clear. It would just be amazing to like go see the FNAF movie and then, you know, there's all of a sudden like an absolute banger just playing. Yeah, that would be cool. And / tutorial units, or Andy Field appearance. I should have just called this Andy Field. That's so stupid. Anyways, yeah, I feel like he's gonna maybe make an appearance as like some kind of computer program, or maybe as some kind of other like technical narrating voice in this movie, hopefully. Next I have corniness. Yeah, I think that kind of goes with the, like, you can tell it's a Blumhouse movie theme. Like, I just think it's probably going to be corny. You know, like a lot of like one-liners, maybe some like meta humor, you know. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably going to be corny. I think part of this is also that like screenshot that has been absolutely going viral on like Twitter, I think, where it's like all of them, they're standing in the parking lot and you don't really know what they're saying, but people are like assuming the worst. Like, it has been absolutely brutal. I mean, I do have a couple the scene does ways look pretty weird. Abby, what are you doing? Get away from them. They're dangerous.
No, just listen. Look, they're our friends, right? They're not trying to harm us.
And then there's like there's like an awkward pause where they're all like waving at each other, and it's like, oh, it's like a big like revelation moment. Like, oh, I guess they are. You know, then they start like creating a plan on how to stop Springtrap. Or maybe it's not like that at all. Maybe it's like a hostage situation where it's like, hand over the fucking money, you simpleton, in $1 bills, please, and no sudden movements or that kid's catching a fucking bullet. Oh my god. Yeah. I could see that happening. I mean, why are they just standing in this parking lot talking? Like what are they talking about? What are they doing? Like, I feel like there's no way for this scene not to be like some kind of like corny like scene. Like, what are they doing? Are they planning something? Like, anyways. Then I have bootleg scooping scene. I just put this down because of this one scene in the trailer where Mike is like, he's like strapped down to this chair and Foxy's like coming at him with these like Sister Location-esque face opening mechanics that he just didn't have before. Also completely against the lore, but anyways. And yeah, it just kind of reminded me of, yeah, like the Sister Location scooping scene, so just decided to include it. Maybe they're trying to reference it with that scene, who knows. Okay, so before we get to the last reveal of the bingo board, I'm gonna put some honorable mentions on the screen here. They can be seen as like other assumptions or thoughts that I had about the movie, or as like alternatives if you didn't like some of the points on the bingo board. You can just switch them out with these ones. William Afton or Purple Guy isn't Springtrap. This was a thought that I had while watching the trailers. Basically because, like, obviously, yeah, I assumed that Steve Racklin was going to be William Afton, but then there's also, like, Springtrap later on in the movie, which doesn't really make sense. And I still, like, firmly believe the theory that he is William Afton in some kind of way, so, you know, maybe William Afton and Springtrap are different people in this movie universe, who knows. But then the other question would be, like, who would this new Springtrap be, right? Because, like, the rise of Springtrap, or whatever you want to call it, it took, like, 30 years, right? Like, Springtrap, or, like, Purple Guy, whoever it is that's possessing him in that suit, was, again, like, marinating in that back room, in that moldy suit for 30 years. You know, like, he wasn't just spring-locked and then just, like, went on with his day. So, probably must be someone in the far past, and there aren't really a lot of, like, and I can't really think of anyone who fits that description, so yeah, we're just gonna have to watch the movie to see. I didn't put this point in the bingo board because I thought it would be kind of like hard to explain my thought process. It still is. Yeah, if you think that's interesting or if you believe it, you can just like put it on your board if you decide to play with it. Then I also had Scott Cawthon appearance, specifically as Phone Guy, if I remember correctly, but I decided to cut that out because it didn't seem likely to me anymore after watching the trailer, because I don't think that Purple Guy is going to be in the movie, really. Now I have a couple reasons for assuming this. First off, because, yeah, I feel like if he would have been in the movie, he would have been in the trailer and given some kind of, like exposition stuff. Like, I feel like he would have been, like, the narrator for the trailer or something. And second of all, because his role in the movie would also be completely irrelevant, because again, his role in FNAF was to be like a narrator, to tell the player what to do, to introduce them to like the plot, and we see that that role in the trailer and then later on in the movie is filled by Vanessa. You know, like, she's the one coming in, telling Mike what's up, what to do. She's the one telling him about the animatronics, showing him the animatronics. Now, I don't exactly know why they replaced Phone Guy's role with Vanessa's, but I guess I could think of like a couple reasons. Like yeah, maybe they wanted to have a romance between like two characters of the movie, and Phone Guy wouldn't have really been like the best fit for that. Or, and this assumption is a bit more wild, maybe they thought that like newer fans wouldn't recognize Phone Guy. Like, maybe they thought that if they put like Vanessa in, because she's like Security Breach is like a lot younger than FNAF 1, and yeah, maybe they thought that like because she's like, you know, she's fresh in the memory, that like people would like remember her better or something. I don't know. I would have really liked to see Phone Guy in the FNAF movie, but I think it's also good that they took Vanessa, who, like I said earlier, was a character who was really disappointing, and decided to like include her in more stuff and build on her character a little more. Like, I remember when these like, what was it, like promotional images were released for Security Breach, like, what was it, like late 2019, early 2020, I think, and it was like these posters with captions like obey and protect, and the protect one had Vanessa on it, and that was our first reveal that we would be playing as a female security guard for the first time, because we ended up playing as a male character again, and like Vanessa / Vanny was like barely in the game at all. Yeah, again, just like 5 minutes at the end. She was really hyped up to be something that she wasn't, and like if you were one of those fans who were really excited to like get a female security guard for the first time in FNAF, you know, have like a a female protagonist, a female hero, then I am truly sorry for you. So yeah, whether they built on Vanessa as a hero or a villain in the new movie, I do like that she's getting a lot more love from the franchise now. Aside from the like truly lackluster and laughable participation trophy that the writers smacked her with in Security Breach. Sad Springtrap backstory. This one I basically just thought of because there was like this one scene in the trailer where Abby's like looking at the pictures that the like kids drew, and one of the pictures is shown like with like Springtrap holding all the other kids' hands, and that kind of reminded me of the like backstory that Springtrap got in Springtrap and Elia, and there he had this like sad backstory about how he was like clinically insane and like he couldn't have children, so he just like killed a bunch of random kids. Yeah, I feel like they might give him a sad backstory, considering in FNAF he doesn't really have a backstory. Like he's just kind of assumed to be like a negligent father and kind of a shit husband who just ends up killing kids randomly. I know it's supposed to be because of that like agony stuff, like he wants to live forever and like harvest the souls of children. I just think that's like so cheesy and cheap. I don't like it. I don't consider it canon, okay? It's in the books, so I do not consider it canon, okay? So I'm not gonna take that as an actual answer. Then I also have popular fandom thing, for example, exotic butters. So yeah, just any like fandom joke, anything that's like popular in the fandom, you know, like ooh, toast, funny, get it? Yeah. Ooh, exotic butters, funny, right? Ooh, just need a couple more ingredients, we can make a whole FNAF sandwich. And then lastly, I have franchise references in general. So references that, yeah, again, would just be referring to like any FNAF thing ever. I feel like there's gonna be book references, obviously. There's gonna be references to future and past games. Maybe there's gonna be a Freddy in Space reference, can't wait. But yeah, I kind of left this one out because there was already like so many more specific references that we're referring to. So yeah, I felt it was kind of redundant to like include it here. Last but not least, I have won't live up to expectations. Yeah, this was probably kind of a shit reveal, right? This was probably like not that hard to guess. Yeah, the movie's probably gonna be shit. I don't know what else to say. I don't want it to be shit, but I feel like it's gonna. And it's kind of making me sad that it's probably gonna be shit. Like, FNAF is a very emotional, like, I feel a lot of emotions about FNAF, basically. Like, me and so many others have been waiting for a movie like this, and we have gone through so much regarding everything about it. Obviously, like, the production company changes, and the annual delays, and the bajillions of scripts that there were, Scott's retirement. Do you remember these like semi-big FNAF channels that would make like almost daily videos about like news about the FNAF movie like 3 to 4 years ago? And this movie is like obviously a reflection of what so many fans were hoping for years. Like I said, FNAF is a very emotional franchise for me. Like when I was a kid, I used to fucking watch like Mando Pony balloons animatics on YouTube, and I would cry every time because they were so sad. And I watched this like interview recently about that topic where Emma Tammy basically said that the main core of the movie was going to be about the loss of innocence, and I think at the end of the day that's what FNAF is really about, right? It's about these children having their childhood, having their life taken away from them, and you know, being forced to wear a mask that they're trapped inside. Obviously the backbone of FNAF, why it got that big of a fan, were never because the game mechanics were like so awesome and flawless and amazing. It's because of the story, the very beautiful, convoluted yet beautiful story about these dead children, you know, like a very emotional story that I wish I could cry at. Yeah, I wish I could cry at the FNAF movie in theaters. Okay, it's just me personally, but I don't want a movie that's straight up bad, obviously. And I also don't want a movie that's just so bad it's good. Like, I just want genuinely a good, heartfelt, emotional movie that encapsulates the horrors and the tragedy of FNAF. And I know that might be asking a lot from the FNAF movie, considering, you know, most people don't really see this as one of the most serious movies. Many like outside people don't see the FNAF fandom as very serious. FNAF is considered pretty cringe by most people. But again, this movie is made for fans, and I feel like a lot of fans would appreciate a movie like this. I feel like nowadays the FNAF fandom is very like very cheery, right? It's very cute and happy. And I'm not saying that like back then in the medieval FNAF times everything was just grim and dark and sad, and that there was like no fun whatsoever, because there was. You know, there was a lot of like cringy fandom humor back then that I look back at very fondly. But I just miss the edge, okay? I just miss the edge that the FNAF fandom used to have. I miss the sincerity. I miss the heartfelt stuff. I feel like back then fans were more like devoted, I guess. I don't really know how to say it. Like I don't know. I miss the scariness. I miss being genuinely terrified of FNAF. So yeah, I really hope the movie is gonna be like that. I really hope the movie is not gonna shy away from loving FNAF for all of its glory. You know, I remember waiting for the year 2023 when I was a kid, because I was like, oh my god, this is the year that like Springtrap's gonna rise up. You know, this is the year that like, you know, FNAF 3 is gonna happen. This year was almost magical to me as a kid, and now it's here. And the fact that the FNAF movie's coming out this year as well just seems so, like, perfect to me. I don't know. Not gonna sit here and pretend that I didn't try to squeeze out at least a little bit of, like, a manly tear while watching this video. Again, truth is, I don't care for FNAF now nearly as much as I did when I was a kid, and I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. They've kind of just been worn out by FNAF, by the endless amounts of games, the endless amounts of books, the fact that it just seems to get shittier as it ages. It's like the opposite of like a fine wine, you know, it gets old really fast. This movie, you know, I think it might be one of the last pieces of FNAF that's ever going to come out, and I hope that it's going to be something kind of like a jump to the past, where you can watch it and you can just think back to what it was like to like FNAF back then. Like, I just want to have a good cry while I think about FNAF again. Is that too much to ask? Okay, I miss when I used to cry about these dead robot children, okay? I'm man enough to admit that, okay? I miss when I used to cry about these dead robot children, and I want to cry about them again. And I know it sounds cheesy as fuck, but I want to feel again. I want to feel emotions the way I did when I was a kid. I want to fucking cry so loudly that they're gonna have to kick me out of the theater because I'm just so loud and my snot is like covering the floor. Damn, like, this song really is beautiful. It sucks that the guy who made it is like a pedophile or something. Yeah, I just ruined any kind of mood I was trying to build up to with that last part. But anyways, yeah, thank you for watching this video whole if you did. If you didn't, that's also fine. And yeah, bye.